On my 21st birthday, my dad lifted his glass and said, "Some kids make you proud. Others just take up space." Everyone laughed. I smiled and said, "Good thing I just got my own place 2,000 miles away. Don't worry, you'll never." My name is Brian. I'm 29, an HR manager who can read a room in 5 seconds and write a performance plan in 10. Middle child. Oldest son. The responsible one, since I learned to tie my shoes. I schedule doctor appointments, memorize deadlines, remember everyone's birthdays. If my family were a company, I'd be the unpaid operations team. People at work know me as calm. My family knows me as useful. I grew up in Phoenix, in a house that always smelled like lemon cleaner and expectation. Dad runs a small roofing outfit. Mom keeps the books and the family narrative. My older sister, Kelsey, shines. My younger brother, Evan, crashes and gets a parade for surviving. I learned early that asking for help was the same as admitting failure. So I stopped asking. I keep things simple. Gym at 6, coffee black, phone on do not disturb until 8. My apartment is clean, my emails have labels, and my rent is paid on the 1st. It's not exciting, but it's stable. Stability feels like oxygen when you grew up in a house where money was a mood. I used to think if I worked hard enough, my family would eventually treat me like more than a spare wallet. That belief didn't break all at once. It chipped, small pieces, like when Mom accidentally slipped my credit card at Costco because hers was in the other purse, or when Dad said, "Pitch in for Evan's tires. Don't be the only one who doesn't," and then sent me a Venmo request for the full amount. The night the truth finally showed its teeth was my 21st birthday. We were at a restaurant with shiny menus and wobbly chairs. Balloons tied to the back of my seat like I was 10. I'd just gotten an offer for an HR internship 2 states away. I was scared and proud in equal parts. Dad lifted his glass. He smiled at the table like a foreman inspecting work he didn't plan to pay for, and said, "Some kids make you proud. Others just take up space." The table laughed. Not a big laugh. A quick, automatic one, the kind you do to keep the peace. Kelsey hid her smile in her napkin. Evan smirked at his phone. Mom patted my shoulder and said, "Oh, Tom," like it was a joke he didn't mean. I smiled back, even though my ears were ringing. I said, "Good thing I just got my own place 2,000 miles away." I pushed my chair back. "Don't worry, you'll never." I didn't finish. The server arrived with a cake that said "BRAM" because someone misread the form, and I blew out the candles in one breath, thinking, I'm leaving. I'm leaving, and I'm not coming back for a long time. The first real trigger, though, wasn't the toast. It was the way Mom whispered while I was cutting the cake. "We'll talk about the card later, honey. Just be flexible." I didn't know which card. I would find out. And that's when the money stopped being a background hum and became the whole song. I moved to Seattle 6 weeks later. Studio apartment that smelled like old paint and pretzels. HR internship with a real badge. I bought a used couch off Marketplace and a lamp that leaned like it needed therapy. It was mine. I called Mom to give the new address. She said, "Proud of you, baby." Then, quick thing, your student loan auto pay bounced. Can you check? I didn't have auto pay. I opened my bank app. A charge I didn't recognize, Sun Valley Utilities, Phoenix, $286.74. I called her back. "What's Sun Valley Utilities?" "Oh," she said too fast. "They wouldn't put the account in Evan's name because of, you know. So we used yours for now. It's temporary." "You use my social?" Silence. Then, "You're so dramatic. We needed the account on your family." I wrote the word temporary on a sticky note and slapped it on my laptop. In HR, words like temporary always come with an end date we can point to. In my family, temporary was a vibe. The internship became a full-time role. I did onboarding packets, coached 2 managers through a probation plan, and learned how to say, "That's outside scope," without sounding like a wall. I sent money home for emergencies. Evan's fender bender. The dog's surgery. A small payroll gap at Dad's shop. Mom would text, "We'll pay you back on Friday." Friday came and went. New emergency. New promise. I could chart the cycle like a weather map. At 23, I got promoted to HR generalist. My manager high-fived me in the hallway and said, "You're a stabilizer, Brian." I screenshotted the email and sent it to the family chat. Kelsey, yay. Mom, so proud. Speaking of stability, your father's dental work is due Monday. Dad, just spot us. I'll Zell you. Evan sent a thumbs-up emoji like he'd contributed. I pushed back softly. "I have my own bills." Mom replied, "You always make everything about money." I stared at that line for a long time. I was the one making it about money. I let it go like always. A year later, the little cracks widened. I went home for Thanksgiving. By then, I was running performance calibrations, building compensation bands, and quietly Venmoing my parents in amounts that would make my coworkers blink. The house looked the same, but didn't. New refrigerator, new TV, a stack of unopened mail on the counter like a monument. Mom hugged me and whispered, "You look skinny." I said I was fine. She said, "You always say that after you've lost weight," like it was a personal insult. After dinner, Dad handed me a folder. "We've been thinking. It's time to put your name on the business." I opened the folder. It was a loan application for $65,000. I laughed, because that's what I do when I want to scream. "You're joking." Mom touched my forearm. "It's a guarantee, sweetie, not even real money. I work in HR, not finance, but I can read. This is very real. Family helps family," Dad said. "Family also asks," I said. He looked at me like I'd slapped him. "You want me to beg my own son?" I closed the folder. "I want you to treat me like more than a walking credit score." We didn't sign anything that night. But when I got back to Seattle and logged into Credit Karma, there was a hard inquiry I didn't recognize. Same bank on the folder. My stomach dropped through the floor. I called Mom. No answer. I called again. She picked up on the fifth ring. "Brian," airy voice, "I'm in line at Costco. Did you apply for a business loan with my info?" "Don't be rude." "Did you?" Another pause. "We needed to keep the crew through winter. We were going to tell you." I sat on my kitchen floor and looked at my refrigerator, at the sticky note that still said temporary, curling at the edges. I said, "This is illegal. No one is suing anyone. We're family." What I learned in HR. People say we're family when they want you to work late without pay. I froze my credit. Filed a report. The bank flagged the application. Mom texted the family chat. "Brian is acting like a stranger." Kelsey sent Mom, "He's just careful." Evan wrote, "We get it. Brian's better than us." I didn't respond. Months passed. I lowered contact and saved money. Mom would call and talk like nothing had happened. "How's the weather? How's work?" Then she'd slide in a request like a stray cat. "The mortgage cleared a day late, but it's fine. Can you just, handle it? We'll pay you back Friday." Always Friday. I started keeping a spreadsheet. Date, amount, reason given, status. I colored the paid column in green. It stayed mostly gray. At 26, I became HR manager. Benefits now lived under me. So did employee relations and a stack of dull binders labeled policy. I loved it anyway. Order, clarity, process. At the same time, my family life became the opposite: demand, ambiguity, gaslight. They called it help. I called it bleeding out quietly. The mini breaking point came through a group chat. Actually, Kelsey announced her engagement. The chat exploded. Confetti, champagne, 50 exclamation points from Mom. Within an hour, Mom started assigning costs. "Brian can book the venue deposit. Brian's good with numbers. He'll handle the caterer retainer." I watched the messages roll by like I was scrolling a bill I never approved. I typed, "I'll send a gift." That's it. "Mom, don't be selfish." Evan, "Bro, it's her only wedding." Me, "Hard to be selfish with my own money." Mom called immediately. "I don't recognize you anymore." "You never looked," I said. She sniffed. "After all we've done. The roof over your head, the rides to practice, the food. Do you want a receipt for your childhood?" I said, "Funny you should ask," and opened my spreadsheet. I didn't send it. Not then. But the file existed. It grew. One night in bed, I scrolled through line after line. 286.74 utilities. 900.00 Evan tires. 1100.00 2-week payroll float. 250.00 dog meds. 1500.00 Kelsey's dress deposit. 700.00 surprise dental. 300.00 Evan court fees. 2000.00 roof materials. 1200.00 tax shortfall. 87 entries. For greens. I fell asleep with my phone on my chest and woke up to 3 missed calls from Mom and a text. "We need to talk about Kelsey's honeymoon flights." Of course we did. I kept giving little pieces. I kept telling myself I was choosing it. That made it feel less like theft. And then came the day that reset the board. Dad had a family dinner, which meant ambush. I went anyway, because I still believed in some quiet math that said showing up would eventually equal being seen. We ate overcooked chicken and 2 sweet iced tea. Halfway through, Dad cleared his throat. "We're proud of your career," he said, though he said career like it had quotation marks. "Thanks," I said. He smiled, the same smile from my 21st. "We're expanding." 2 new trucks. We'll put you on the paperwork so the bank feels safe. Mom reached over, squeezed my hand. You won't even notice. The old me would have swallowed it. The new me said, no. The room went cold. Evan leaned back and laughed. Here we go. Mom said, Brian, family. Family doesn't forge signatures, I said. Dad's jaw tightened. Watch your mouth. I stood up so I wouldn't shake. I froze my credit. If anything shows up with my name on it, I'll report it. Mom's voice sharpened. To who? The police? On your own father? If that's what it takes, I said. I left before dessert. 2 days later, I got a calendar invite for a family finance meeting, mandatory. The subject line might as well have been the breaking point. The meeting was at their house, Sunday at 3. I dressed like I do when I have to fire someone. Clean, neutral, no tie. I brought my laptop because facts land better with pixels. Kelsey was already there, hair perfect, ring flashing like a threat. Evan was sprawled on the couch, shoes on the cushion, scrolling TikTok. Mom set a plate of cookies in front of me like sugar could fix fraud. Dad stood, arms crossed, project manager of a project I never joined. He started. Your mother and I have carried this family. Mom nodded. We gave you everything. And, Dad said, now it's your turn to step up. With real support, not spreadsheets. Funny you say that. I opened my laptop and mirrored the screen to the TV. My spreadsheet filled the room in quiet rows. Kelsey squinted. What is this? For years, I said. Amounts you asked for. Reasons you gave. Whether you paid me back. Evan snorted. You making a documentary? I scrolled. I didn't raise my voice. That was key. October 14th, $1, 504 2-week payroll float. November 2nd, $900, Evans Tires. November 19th, $2, 86.74 utilities. December 7th, $1, 200 tax shortfall. December 22nd, $300 court fees. January 3rd, $1, 100 roof materials. January 14th, $250 dog meds. January 25th, $2,000 order deposit. Mom crossed her arms. Why are you keeping score? Because you taught me it's my job to care about the numbers, I said. Dad stepped forward. The business had a rough patch. You think you're better than me because you sit at a desk? I think I'm not a bank, I said. Kelsey's voice came out small for once. We were going to pay you back. I clicked to the second tab. Receipts. Transfers. Screenshots. You really weren't. Evan rolled his eyes. Is this why we're here? To watch a PowerPoint? No, I said. This is why we're here. I pulled up a PDF. The bank letter about the blocked application. My fraud alert. The timeline. Dad's face changed. He knew I knew. You're overreacting. You tried to sign my name, I said. That's not a reaction problem. That's a boundary problem. Mom's voice trembled and got mean at the same time. You would send your own father to jail. I would protect myself, I said. Silence. Then Dad did what he always does. Went for humiliation. He lifted his chin. Some kids make you proud. He said again, slower this time. Others just take up space. Kelsey flinched like she felt that in her gut, too. Evan laughed. Mom waited for me to apologize. I didn't. I closed the laptop. I'm done. Mom's face crumpled and rearranged in 1 second. Anger, pity, rage, pleading. Brian, don't be like this. We need you. What will happen to us? There it was. The manipulative middle note. I know it by heart from work. What will happen if I don't sacrifice myself, she means. I answered like I would at work. Clear. Simple. You will figure it out, I said. Because I won't be your plan anymore. Dad sneered. You think you're somebody because you moved away. I think I'm somebody because I have to be, I said. Evan stood. Don't come crying when you need a family. I haven't cried to you once, I said. I sent money. Kelsey whispered, Brian. She looked scared. Not for me. For the collapse of her wedding registry. I put a white envelope on the coffee table. Inside was a printed copy of a boundary letter. Plain language. Bullet points. Effective dates. I'd written it like a policy because that's what I know. Dad didn't touch it. What is this? Expectations, I said. Starting today, I won't fund the business. I won't co-sign loans. I won't be responsible for Evan's fines, tires, fees, or court costs. I won't pay deposits for weddings, honeymoons, or dental work. If you open accounts in my name, I will report it. If you harass my work number, I'll have it blocked. If you need help, ask each other or a professional. Mom's mouth opened and closed. You can't do this to us. I'm not doing anything to you, I said. I'm stopping what you're doing to me. Evan scoffed. This is why no one likes HR. This is why HR exists, I said. Mom started crying. Real tears, messy. It would have worked on me a year ago. She reached for my hand. We're your family. I know, I said. That's why I'm leaving now, instead of staying and resenting you until I explode. Dad said, you walk out that door, don't come back. Okay, I said. I picked up my laptop. Kelsey whispered, what about the deposit? It sounded ridiculous hanging there in the stale, sweet air. I looked at her. I'll send a blender. Dad laughed once, ugly. Some kids make you proud. I opened the door. Some adults learn, I said. Some just take up space in your bank app. Then I stepped outside. The sun was too bright. I put on my sunglasses and walked to my car with my hands shaking and my head clear. The first week after the meeting was loud on my phone and quiet in my head. Mom called 12 times in a day, then texted, I forgive you. When that didn't land, she sent, you're not well. Then, we'll talk Friday. Friday, like always, a deadline with no action attached. I muted the family chat. I told my therapist what happened. She said, you set a boundary and tolerated their reaction. It sounded like a sentence from a handbook. I needed the plainness. At work, muscle memory carried me. I mediated a conflict over desk assignments, wrote a clean PP for a chronically late designer, created a new onboarding checklist that actually worked. I took a lunch break every day and ate outside, phone in my bag. I didn't realize how heavy my shoulders were until they weren't. Then the fallout started at home. Kelsey called me from a number I didn't recognize. I answered because, unlike my parents, Kelsey sometimes tries. Hey, she said. Her voice was brittle. So, Mom canceled the florist. I'm not the florist, I said. I know, she said. She said if you're not participating then we all have to tighten up. That's not what she means, I said. She means you have to push me. Kelsey was quiet long enough that I thought the call dropped. It's always been like this, she said, like she was finally saying something obvious out loud. Remember when Dad made you give Evan your car for the summer? And then he totaled it, and you apologized for being upset? I remember, I said. Kelsey exhaled. I'm sorry for not seeing it. Or seeing it and not helping. Seeing it and not helping is a kind of decision, I said, and I surprised myself by not saying it to hurt her. She said, I might move the wedding. Smaller. I don't know. Then, quieter. I'm looking at apartments. I sat up. Apartments. She laughed once, brittle. You think I never had my own version of this? Not with money. With attention. With Dad. We talked for an hour. Not about deposits. About leaving. About staying. About how you get to be 30 without ever having your own room in your own head. When we hung up, I felt something in my chest release that had been tight since high school. Meanwhile, Mom went on a campaign. She called my aunt. She called my grandmother. She called my godmother who still sends me Christmas cards with glitter in the envelope. The message was the same. Brian is abandoning us. My aunt texted me a screenshot and wrote, You okay? I wrote back, I'm fine. Just not funding the family anymore. She sent a heart, and then, proud of you. I saved that one. Dad didn't call. He posted a meme on Facebook about ungrateful kids these days, the kind with an eagle and a flag. A neighbor commented, preach, and I closed the app. Evan sent 3 snake emojis and then a video of himself at a bar. Captions, real family takes care of each other. I didn't reply. 2 nights later, he called at 1:02 a.m. I woke up, stared at the ceiling, and let it ring. He left a voicemail. I need $200 or I'm screwed. The next morning, there was a second message. Forget it. You're dead to me. I poured coffee and practiced not wearing other people's emergencies. And here's what surprised me. Life got lighter. Not perfect. Lighter. I started boxing after work with a coworker named Maya, who looks like she's sending a memo. I said yes the first time a neighbor invited me to a board game night, even though I thought I hated board games. It was fun. We argued about whether a rule counted as written or implied, and I laughed so hard I snorted. No one asked me for my routing number. At work, I finally pitched the project I'd been sitting on for months, a real career framework, not a PDF no one reads. My COO said, run it. I ran it. People actually used it. Someone wrote on a survey, this made me feel seen. I screenshotted that and saved it in a folder called Fuel. Money-wise, I set up auto transfer to a savings account I named Not for Fire. Every Friday, a little moved itself and no one texted me about it. I looked at my bank app and saw a number that looked like a decision, not a trap. Mom tried a new angle. I miss you. Then, we should do Sunday dinners again. Then, you know I'm not a bad person. I didn't respond to texts that were hooks. I answered ones that were information. I'm available on the 12th at noon for lunch in public. She wrote back, just be normal. which meant, let us pretend nothing happened. I saw her for that lunch. We sat at a place with metal chairs and loud music. She ordered a salad and picked it apart. You look tired, she said. I sleep fine, I said. She sighed. Your father's upset. He can be, I said. He says you threaten legal action. I promised I'd protect myself, I said. She leaned in. Brian, honey, what will happen to us if you don't help? You'll learn to budget, I said. Or downsize. Or sell a truck. Or ask Evan to get a second job. Or stop using credit cards like bandages. 100 options before Brian pays. She blinked. You sound cold. I sound clear, I said. She dabbed her eyes. I never wanted this. You wanted the money without the conversation, I said. Now you have to have the conversation without the money. She stared at me like she didn't know me. Maybe she didn't. Maybe I didn't either, not fully. I paid for my lunch and left her with hers. Kelsey kept calling. Little updates. She moved the wedding to a backyard. It turned out beautiful in pictures, string lights, thrifted vases, a borrowed arch. She didn't ask me for a deposit. I sent her a gift and a card that said, "May every yes be yours." She texted me a photo of her crying and laughing at the same time. Mascara everywhere. I cried at my desk and blamed allergies. Dad finally texted after 3 months of silence. Need to talk. I wrote, email me. He responded, you're ridiculous. I wrote, boundaries are not ridiculous. He didn't write back. Then something I didn't expect happened. Evan called sober at 10 a.m. I got fired, he said. His voice was small, like he was 12. I'm sorry, I said. I need. He stopped himself, like he hit an invisible fence. I was going to ask you for rent. I won't do that, I said. He was quiet long enough that I thought he hung up. What do I do? He asked finally. Not fix this for me. Not send money. What do I do? I said, you breathe. You accept the natural consequences. And you go to the workforce center on 3rd and Pine. Ask for Laura. Tell her you're ready to work. He laughed once. Of course you have a contact. I have a list, I said. Why are you like this? He said, not mean. Curious. Because someone has to be, I said. He didn't thank me. He didn't yell. He just said, okay, and hung up. 2 weeks later, he texted a photo of a schedule. Overnight shifts at a warehouse. It's trash, he wrote. But I'm going. I sent a thumbs up. No confetti. My therapist asked what success looked like. I said, a Sunday where my phone battery lasts all day because it's not constantly lighting up with panics I didn't cause. We both laughed. It came. A Sunday with laundry and coffee and a walk by the water. My phone stayed still. When it did buzz, it was a friend sending a meme about HR being corporate therapists. I sent back, we're boundary librarians. I thought a lot about that toast, about taking up space. I realized the only space I'd been taking was the small corner of my own life I'd allowed myself to keep. After the meeting, that corner expanded. I bought a bookshelf. I bought a plant. I bought boxing gloves that fit. I booked a trip with my own miles and didn't tell anyone until I got back. Mom sent one more big message in the family chat. We have always supported each other. Some of us forget that. Kelsey replied, support is not exploitation. Evan, to my shock, wrote, stop. Then, I got it. Dad left the chat and rejoined 5 minutes later like he thought no one would notice. And me? I put the chat on mute for a year. I unmuted it the day Kelsey sent a photo of her first lease with her name only. I did it, she wrote. I wrote, proud of you. Not the way Dad says it. The real way. A year later, I flew to Phoenix for a work trip and kept 1 extra day for me. I drove past the old house. The lemon cleaner smell was just memory. The lawn was uneven. The roof looked new. I laughed in the car and kept going. I met Kelsey for coffee. Sneakers, ponytail, softer face. I'm in therapy, she said. Me too. We were kids trying to be props. Yeah, you were brave to stay. I was right to leave. We cried, wiped it away, and talked like siblings who might finally be friends. Then the diner. Vinyl booths, bitter coffee. Dad already braced, Mom sorting sugar packets. So you think you're better than us? Dad started. No, I said. I'm better to myself. We needed you. I know. And I needed me. Mom's voice dropped. We were scared. Me too. Scared of becoming someone I didn't like. Dad shook his head. Family is family. I'm not angry, I said. And I'm not paying. Both can be true. He opened his mouth, closed it. Not a miracle, just a click. Mom reached, then stopped when I didn't offer my hand. Are you happy? I pictured the spreadsheet archive, the boxing gloves, quiet Sundays where my phone battery stays full. Yes, mostly. More than before. Good, she said, meaning it and hating it a little. Back in Seattle, I opened the old sheet. No rage, just numbers. I added one last line. Date, today. Amount, $0. Reason, boundary kept. Status, paid. Then I filed it under archive, not to forget, but to remember without bleeding. If there's a moral, it's simple. I'm not a wallet with legs, and family isn't an all-access pass to my peace. Help without boundaries hurts everyone. You don't need a crisis to say no. On my 21st, Dad said, some kids make you proud. Others take up space. I finish it now when I lock my door and water the plant. Don't worry, you'll never take up space that isn't yours again.